What's up, everyone? All right, so in today's episode, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go over my trades. Not because I don't want to. Well, I do want to. But unfortunately, because I didn't take a single trade today. The only regret that I have is missing STSS right here. So this morning, it was so slow pre-market. I didn't take any trades pre-market. I'll go over what I was looking at and why I didn't take trades. But then coming into the open, we ended up getting this move here at about 10:30. And at that point, I'd gotten up, I'd walked away, so I missed it completely. In hindsight, really nice first pullback here. And then the second pullback was right here. These were really clean. So it was great if you were watching it. It was lighter volume at the time. And on a day like today, definitely riskier, but it did end up working. Then it starts to pull back. And on the one hand, you're thinking, oh, it's a 5-minute setup. But on the other hand, high volume red candle, MACD negative, not going to work. And then that flush there. So that was perfectly avoidable, that flush, because the MACD being negative, it didn't make sense to take that trade. So STSS, that's my only regret. Had I been able to trade it here, break the ice, I might have been able to make a little bit, but it wouldn't have been, I didn't leave that much on the table because big picture is I wouldn't have felt comfortable taking that much risk on it at that time of day, considering it would have been breaking the ice with my first trade at 10:30, which is very unusual for me. However, two no trade days is also very unusual. I am pretty sure this will be the first year that that's ever happened. I now I'm not 100% sure, but I really don't think I've ever had two no trade days in a row. Even during colder market periods, 2016, 2019, periods of 2022 and 2023, I still don't think I had two no trade days in a row. And yet, 2 weeks ago, I had a no trade day on Monday. And then Tuesday, I didn't take any trades until an IPO at like 1 o'clock. And I made some money on that. So it was almost two no trade days in a row. But then here we are this week. So I really am glad and grateful that I made a little bit of money on Monday, because if not for that, I'd be, still flat on the week. And this is kind of interesting to see how compressed things have gotten here in the last month. However, it is seasonally true that August is slow. I was hoping that this year would be an exception to that because June and July were so strong, as you could see right here. But that was not the case. So not only have my profits declined a lot, my daily volume has also declined a lot. I've gone way, 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 way down. So trading on very small share size. I have gotten a couple 100% accuracy days, which is great. So I feel good about that. But, there's just not a lot happening. So this is kind of my approach here at the moment. I'm trying to, think of myself as, just kind of like a dog that's been beaten down. And I don't even want to get up and try. I'm just like, no, I'm submitting. I'm just completely submitting to the market. And I'm saying, nope, not even going to try. So, on the one hand, I am showing up every day. But on the other hand, I am really not interested in participating in a market that I don't think I can make good money in. And I'm proud of myself in a way for that sort of development, although you might think of it as being a bit defeatist or giving up. I actually think that there are times where the best thing to do is, in fact, give up. And, I'm just kind of thinking about like other periods in life where, I just got really stubborn about doing something. Like, I don't know, maybe a day I wanted to get a lot of yard work done, but it was raining. And I was like, I'm just going to get it done. Like, why? It's raining. Just maybe not. Maybe just don't do it that day. Just do it a different day. So I had high expectations for August. I had big goals. I'm currently sitting at like 10, 11%. Well, I guess we could see of my goal for the month. So, that's obviously not where I wanted to be, but being stubborn isn't going to change it. It's not going to improve this. This is the reality of the market we're in. So now I have two choices. I can radically accept this reality, including the aspect of it, which is that I'm not making as much money as I'd like right now. That I'm showing up every day and I don't feel like I'm really getting paid for it. There's not a lot of reward for it. And this again is in the grand scheme because we're still sitting at, you could see this fairly large number here. But compared to obviously July, it pales in comparison. So this was July here at just over 1 million. So I think that, for me right now, just really trying to be totally okay with not trading and let go of the daily goal. The daily goal will come to me when it's ready, when the market's ready. And the harder that I grasp for it, I'm going to be flailing, desperation, trading anything that's moving. And I'm going to take unnecessary losses. And I've looked around and I've seen a lot of traders, both long and short, who are losing money in this market because it's very choppy. Lower volume, bigger spreads. It's a recipe for a more challenging environment. So for me, the approach right now, and I think it's going to be the right approach, is to wait for really good quality setups. There's no question about it. When the market's hot, when we're in a really hot market, even a B quality setup can end up working out pretty well. And that's something that can be really confusing for some beginner traders because you'll think, Ross, that setup didn't meet all 5 pillars of stock selection. It didn't have news, but you traded it anyways, or whatever the case is. And it's like, yeah, well, yes, but remember the context. We're in a market that's so hot right now, where we're seeing back-to-back stocks going up 100, 200, 300%, that in that environment, even a B quality setup is probably going to work fairly well. In this market today, even an A quality setup may not work very well. Why is that? People are more cautious. Longs, buyers are more cautious. Shorts are more aggressive. And that's going to create an environment where even the best quality setups may not go up as much. There's going to be less buying. There's going to be more selling. That's going to reduce the move. So I would say my accuracy on, I guess we could actually check and it won't just be my guess. So this is actually going to be a little tricky because my accuracy over the last week or 2 weeks might not be that bad. We'll see. Let's just run the report and see. Because I know I've had a couple 100% days. See, yeah, my accuracy is 78%. So I am being really picky about what I'm trading. But even trading A quality setups, my average winners, only 1,900, right? So now let's do this for July, just that same 10-day period in July approximately. So in July, during that window, I was at 67%, but my average winners were 3-4 times higher because the market was so much stronger. And of course, the total profit was substantially higher. So, the quality went down because I was introducing more B and C quality setups, but even those were working quite well. So I think right now, maybe it's not the accuracy or win rate is going down on A quality setups. It's just that the size of the winners is a lot smaller. And so that's going to hurt your profit loss ratio, which means you're going to have to be right 70% of the time, even just to kind of keep your head above water. So not great, but this is the reality. So this morning, we've got a couple stocks. NBY, this one's got 116 million shares of volume. It's super crowded. It's thickly traded. It's congestion. It's rush hour traffic. Everyone is fighting to make what? 5 cents a share on 10,000 shares. It's $500. You get, 1 million traders all jumping in and out of it. It creates really tight spreads, which is on the one hand okay, but it's actually to the point where people are competing just to make pennies. And I can't make money on pennies, for me with the broker that I use because I pay commissions. So unfortunately for me, I can't play that game. I just don't have the edge of a commission-free broker. So I'm going to have to sit these ones out. So NBY, sat it out. PNTM, also cheaper. I sat this one out. Devs, this one wasn't tradable for a lot of people. It wasn't tradable at a number of offshore brokers, Trade Zero, Ocean, Trade Station, Webull, people said they couldn't trade it. Don't know exactly why, but this one early this morning at 5:30 popped from $1.67 to $7 nearly, and then came all the way back down. So that's pretty lame. So yeah, whatever. It just is what it is. So that one was off the list. I didn't trade that one. It was too weak coming into the 7 a.m. Window when I began trading. So pretty much sat here from 7 until 9:30, just being patient, seeing nothing particularly interesting. And, in any case, I was throttled back. So I was, going to be trading with smaller share size today anyways. So probably wouldn't have been more than a $5,000 or $10,000 day. But, it is what it is. So it's going to be a no trade day. And my plan, coming into the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, is to hope that maybe I can have a stronger finish to the week. The reason that I'm still hopeful for that, just last week, so last week was a little bit slow, but then the week before, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're decent momentum those sort of 3 days. So it's really this last 2, 4, 5, 6 days that have been just dreadfully slow. But slow is better than, big red days like this. And this is what's going to happen if I get stubborn and I start swinging for the fences on, some of these trades. BTAI, forgot about this one, had news today, halted, and that halted pre-market. So stocks can halt pre-market, but not on circuit breaker, only on breaking news. So it halted on news. Usually they don't even halt stocks for news, but they can. Anyways, the news came out, stock pops up to 7 and then drops to 5. As now all the way back down at 4:30. So not great to see that. But this 12 million share float, wasn't really shocked. Just unfortunately, none of these really looked, none of them had the look. And so I sat on the sidelines today. I held my discipline. And then, it was right at the end when I came back to do the recap that I saw STSS. And I was like, oh man. Oh, well, I could have gotten that. I missed it. And I thought, well, should I consider it for a 5-minute setup here? And I said, MACD is negative, high volume red candle, double top at 18, which was the high from the other day where it popped up and sold off. And I said, man, how much are you going to really make at this time of day? Is it worth the risk? So the downside is I take a trade, I go red, and I'm already with very little cushion on the week, and I'll just feel bummed out. The upside is on 5,000 shares, how much do I even make? $1,500? I mean, I just felt like it's not worth taking the risk. So, someone in the chat room today said, Ross, when you're in a trade, do you ever feel like, your heart's pounding and your palms are sweating and you're almost seeing tunnel vision? And I said, I used to feel that way. And so in the past and earlier in my career, I would feel that way when I would take a trade. And I could tell you right now that if I bought 200,000 shares of STSS, I would feel that way. Why would I feel that way? Anxiety, fear of losing, the fear that if this goes the wrong way, and of course it could, that the loss will be enormous. It could be devastating. So I would say if you're feeling that way while you're trading, you're definitely trading at the edge of your risk tolerance. You're trading at the edge of your comfort zone. Now, it's important for us to be at the edge of our comfort zone. We have to do things sometimes that we don't like to do. We have to do things that are uncomfortable, but doing things that are uncomfortable give us the chance to grow as people. So for me, being someone who doesn't really love, I don't know. I don't always love flying. Going on a small plane isn't something I love doing, but going on a small plane is how you reach some really beautiful places in the world. And I want to go to those places. So, I want to be able to push myself through that. So get to the edge of my comfort zone. With trading, you're trading with 10 shares and you want to scale up. So, you want to make more money, you want to do better, but you don't like that feeling. And so my recommendation is to scale up slowly, just to condition yourself to experience loss. So if right now trading with 1,000 shares is giving you the heart palpitations, then bring it down. Bring it down a little bit. And this is not a good market right now to be trying to scale up, just for what it's worth. But size down, slow down, and focus on finding that spot where you're at the edge of your comfort zone. So you're feeling some discomfort, but you're still within, like, you can function. And it's kind of getting right to that line. And then the more you go to that line and come back, you'll realize that you can actually start pushing further. And then you push a little further, and then you come back. You push a little further, and you come back. And then next thing you know, you've gone from 500 shares to 1,000 to 1,500. And for me, I've had times this year where, 50,000 shares, 75,000 shares, and I'm not feeling that really. Because I feel so confident, and I've conditioned myself that I could have a fairly big loss and bounce right back from it. And I've had some this year, as you've seen in the recaps, and every recap gets uploaded, red or green. So if you're feeling that way, that you're not alone. I could feel that way today if I put myself in that position to take enough risk. I would start having those same thoughts of, this could ruin my month. This could maybe ruin my year. You start to get, and you don't want to empower any trade to do that. So you want to just find that sweet spot where you could be kind of testing your comfort without taking an obscene amount of risk. So I hope that's helpful. And a reminder, as always, of course, day trading is risky. My results aren't typical, and there's no guarantee that you'll find success at this. Being good at trading requires a certain aptitude. You've got to be able to make quick decisions. You've got to be pretty good with numbers. You've got to be able to add and subtract in your head. A lot of this is kind of a numbers game. It's a puzzle, and there's a degree of pattern recognition, kind of, and it's not just visual pattern recognition. It's thinking about the maybe sort of like the psychology in the market, that when things start to get hot, people get really exuberant. We start seeing these crazy big moves, and then when it gets cold, everyone kind of goes on the sidelines. These sort of bigger patterns and cycles, and having a fairly high level of emotional intelligence. So you can recognize in yourself when you're becoming imbalanced, and you recognize when the market is becoming imbalanced, right? And so you kind of have these abilities to really be in touch with the market you're in and to trade that market to its fullest. And I'm trading this current market pretty much to its fullest. I'm not leaving a lot of money on the table, but fortunately, I'm keeping myself throttled back, and that is absolutely the right move right now. This is not a period where I'm going to be making a lot of progress. This is just get through this rough patch until we get to the other side. And for those that, for whatever reason, just started trading in the last 2 weeks, I do feel badly for you because you started at a really tricky time. But the good news is that if you can, you'll learn a lot from slow periods about discipline. And if you can survive a slow period, it's probably better to learn when the market's cold, because it'll teach you better discipline than learning when it's hot. So there is something to be said for that. All right. So with that, I'll see you guys back at it first thing tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. And let's all do a little momentum dance this afternoon and hope we get some nice stocks on the scanners first thing tomorrow morning. Okay. See you in the morning.